So I'm back with another episode of Trent Takes On. It looks like I'm doing one a week right now. That's feels light. Maybe I'll have to squeeze in another one this week. I have a feeling it's coming because, boy, there just continues to be items in the news that piss me off. And I think you can tell a lot about people by how they react to things that outrage them. So today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects in the world, hypocrisy. And it comes to us because of my real dislike for a guy named Ryan Walters. So let's kick it off. I'm originally from Oklahoma. I grew up there. I've got family there still. And it's really not a great place anymore, just to put it mildly. It's pretty awful. The damnedest things happen when you're in the middle of podcasting. You get a fraud alert on your card, or at least you think it's a fraud alert because it's a very cleverly covered scam. And then you got to do some checking to make sure that you're not actually being scammed. So, hey, we're okay. We're moving on. Sorry about that. I guess I could edit it all out, but it sounds like a lot of work. Anyway, I was born and raised in Oklahoma. I still have family there. I still keep up with what goes on in Oklahoma. And right now, they have this guy named Ryan Walters that is the superintendent of public schools for the state of Oklahoma. And one of the things that Mr. Walters has decided to do is he wants to put the Bible in every classroom. And he also wants that Bible to have a copy of the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Very important that it has the Bill of Rights, but it doesn't specify amendments 11 through, I want to say 29. I can never remember how many total amendments there are. I feel like a fool for that. But basically only the first 10 are important to Mr. Walters. And it also has to have a copy of the Declaration of Independence, and it has to be leather bound or some other durable material. And there's only one version of the Bible currently available out there that meets his criteria, and that, of course, is the Trump Bible that sells for $59.99. And Ryan Walters has also requested $3.3 million to purchase 55,000 Bibles. And he doesn't know, he claims he doesn't know who's going to service this request, what vendor will be used. But like I said, if those are his actual specifications, only one vendor actually makes a Bible with the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights in it. And that's the Donald Trump Bible. This is a way to spend $3.3 million of Oklahoma taxpayer money on the Trump campaign. And not even really the campaign, because not all the money goes to the campaign. A lot of it goes straight into the pockets of the Trump people, and a lot of it goes to Trump's personal legal bills, which are, of course, quite hefty. Now, I have problems with this. I have problems with this in a big way. There's a separation of church and state issue here, pretty obviously. Demanding that the Bible be taught in public schools as a part of history is, well, let's just say it flies right in the face of the separation of church and state. And people should be outraged by this, not because people shouldn't learn what's in the Bible. You should, and there's a place for that. It's called a church. And you can worship at home whenever you want, but public schools are meant to be free from religion. And that means you can't impose your religious beliefs on other people's children. And that's what Mr. Walters is searching to do here. I would also like to add, just for fun, that the Bible is available on every classroom's e-readers, their tablets, they're like little generic websites where they can pull up whatever books they want that are approved. The Bible's already there, and it's free. It's done. So this is $3.3 million to buy something that they already have access to. So why do you need a physical copy of the Bible in the classroom? That's a good question. I happen to know that the Bible and religion have played a major part in all kinds of stuff that's happened over the world. In the world, world history is littered with people using the Bible as an excuse to do things. The Crusades come to mind. People fled Europe to come to the New World because of religious persecution, because they didn't like what the Roman Catholic Church was doing. This nation was founded by people who didn't want to pay 30% of their livelihoods. They didn't want to tithe 30% of their livelihoods to a church. They wanted to keep it all. See, our founding fathers weren't Christians. They refer to themselves as deists, by and large. There were some Christians, for sure, but most of them believed in God, maybe even the biblical God, but they didn't feel like it was necessary to tithe to the church and to go to church all the time. They were like, we got our own beliefs and that's good. And that's why there is a separation of church and state. One of the reasons. This country was founded on freedoms, personal freedoms. Sure, it was far from perfect. In fact, actually, it was wildly hypocritical from the very beginning. This country allowed people to be held in bondage, people to be held in slavery. It was a common practice, and it was eventually outlawed. And that's a step toward the distillation of true freedom in this country. Women, for example, still fighting for equal rights to men in certain places, don't get paid the same as men. Don't have the same medical opportunities as men, basically medical treatment opportunities as men, thanks to the overturning of Roe versus Wade and the Dobbs decision. Women are not second-class citizens. People of color are not second-class citizens. People who are disabled are not second-class citizens. People who believe in a different gods than the Christian God, and they're not second-class citizens. Ryan Walters doesn't get any of this. People who don't identify as in a binary way, they're not second-class citizens. We are all supposed to have the same rights, and we're all supposed to be working toward the distillation of that first promise of the Declaration of Independence, where all people are created equal. We're supposed to be working towards that. Instead, people like Ryan Walters and basically the entire Republican Party right now are working to ensure that we go backwards. And it's why the Democrats, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, are running on the "we won't go back" as a platform. And that's good. You don't want to go back. Your eyes are in the front of your head for a reason. You're not meant to look out behind you. You're meant to look ahead, to forge ahead, to move ahead, to always be pushing forward. It's called progress, and it's a good thing. And that's how societies grow, and that's how people thrive. When we allow ourselves to get bogged down with these culture wars that the Republicans are so hell-bent on having, we really fail to move forward in any meaningful way. But at the same time, you still have to fight those culture wars, because failure to fight them means that you're going to lose them. Ryan Walters is probably going to get his way, and they are going to launder $3.3 million into Donald Trump's pockets for something that they don't need. And the state of Oklahoma will not stand up to Ryan Walters. They won't do it. I can guarantee it, because they're enthralled by the same cult that he is. And here's the thing. I don't think Ryan Walters is stupid. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. In fact, I'd be willing to bet the mortgage on it. Ryan Walters knows what he's doing, and that makes it worse. One of the things I would argue this is the thing that I hate the most that human beings do is hypocrisy. Saying one thing and doing another, doing the opposite, in fact. In many cases, when these people talk about freedoms and freedom to choose, what they do, they don't really believe that. They believe in freedom for themselves, but they don't believe in freedom for everybody. They believe in an unequal system. Unilateral system where they get to make the choices, rules for thee, none for me. That's what they want. That's what Donald Trump wants. That's what J.D. Vance wants. That's what the Republican Party of today wants. They want to ensure that people who do not look like them, who do not believe like, who do not pray like them, who do not love like them, people who do not think like them are lesser. That's what they're shooting for. And it's vile. It's disgusting. And one of the things that makes me so angry is like this Ryan Walters thing. The hypocrisy behind it. The hypocrisy loaded down with all of it. These people are coming and taking your rights away in the name of God, in the name of Christ. Christians, in the name of Christ, are going to take away your ability to choose, your free will. They're going to take away your God-given free will. That's according to them. You are given free will, and you are expected to come round to following God, the Christian God. That's their plan. That's what they want to do. That's what they want you to do. And instead of showing you a better way, a better path, showing you that walking in the footsteps of God is a good thing, in the footsteps of Christ, it's a good thing, this is the right kind of life to live, they try to force it on you while simultaneously not doing it themselves. And here's an example. A woman's right to choose. A woman's right to abortion, which is healthcare. A woman's right to decide what she does or doesn't do with her body. All right? That's free will. Now, what they want to do is force you to have that child because they call themselves pro-life. But they're not pro-life. They're pro-birth. If you truly are pro-life, then you don't just care about a fetus before it's born. You care about a child after it's born. You care about things like childcare. You care about things like nutrition. You understand that 1 out of every 5 children doesn't know where their next meal is coming from, and you understand that that is a serious problem. You understand that things like social media and the internet's availability are both a blessing and a curse to these kids who are not mature enough to understand how to navigate it and how to understand the negative effects that social media can have on young minds. And we're just now beginning to understand that. But you see, Republicans aren't interested in that. See, Republicans aren't interested in being pro-life because they're not interested in being pro-gun control. They don't believe we should control guns, but guns are the number one killer of living, breathing, walking around, talking, having thoughts, having feelings, children in this country. Guns. And they keep saying, well, banning the guns won't change anything, but banning abortion apparently will. And that's the thing. When you ban abortion, you're not actually getting rid of it. You're just making it unsafe the way it was before the first pro-choice legislation came down the pipe, which was, for the record, signed by a guy named Ronald Reagan. Because abortion needs to be safe. We need to be able to provide health care to women. Okay? Pro-life doesn't mean what they think it means. They've just co-opted these words. If you were pro-life, you would be anti-war. If you were pro-life, you would be pacifists. If you were pro-life, you would be against the death penalty. But you're not any of those things. All you are is pro-birth. You're not pro-life. You don't care about those kids after they're born. You don't care. You see them as more meat to feed than the machine. American capitalism, grinding up everyone. You're not pro-life because you don't care about what happens to people of color when they get pulled over by the police. The number of homicides committed by police officers is stunning, and the number of those victims that are black is just heartbreaking. You're not pro-life if you don't want to fix that. See, that's the thing. That's what hypocrisy is. Hypocrisy is screaming at the top of your lungs how much you want to be a voice for the voiceless, yet the people who are begging for help, you ignore. That's gross. That's vile. Ryan Walters wants to put the Bible in every classroom and teach it as history. My test for that is, how would Ryan Walters feel if it were a different religious text? and not the Bible that were being taught in schools in Oklahoma. Say we are not going to allow the Bible to be taught in Oklahoma schools, but we are going to teach the Torah, and your kids are going to learn Yiddish. Do you think Ryan Walters is going to be okay with that? What if it's the Quran? What if we're going to teach your kids about Islam? Is he going to be okay with that? What if it's Zen Buddhism? What if it's any number of religions that are not Christianity? There are also versions of Christianity that he's probably not very keen on. But he's going to go forward with his cockamamie plan anyway, because that's who Ryan Walters is, a religious zealot. Or maybe he's not. Maybe he's just a grifter. Maybe he just says what he knows that the uneducated want to hear so that he can get more power. And keeping people uneducated is part of the Republican game plan. Project 2025 is a real thing, and one of the things that it's calling for is the dissolution, the complete erasure of the Department of Education in the United States of America, and turning over all schooling to the states, opening the door for private, read Christian schools to flourish because they're going to get all the money, and public schools and the poor kids who can't afford private schools are going to suffer. Class sizes will double overnight. 20 kids in a class will become 40. 30 kids in a class will become 60. Teachers will retire early. They will quit. They will find other jobs because their pay raises are going to be gone. Their pensions are going to be gone. Their chances for advancement are going to be gone. And even though teaching is one of the most noble, I would argue nursing is right up there with it. One of the most honorable professions that you can chase. There has to be more than the spiritual reward of teaching kids. You have to be able to live on that salary, and you have to be able to maintain your sanity while you do so. Putting all education in the hands of the states, well, that's a choice, all right. When you look at the bottom 10 states in the United States in education, 9 of them are controlled by Republican governments. The 10th is New Mexico. Just point that out. It's weird. We have got a problem in this country. Some people regard education as a necessity to be a part of a productive society, a productive part of society. Others feel like education is a privilege to be purchased. Same group of people believe the same thing about healthcare, for the record. Once again, I come back to the hypocrisy of it all. We're supposed to be distilling that first promise, that first hypocritical promise, where all people are created equal and all people deserve equal opportunity. Opportunity for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're supposed to be working toward that. Republicans don't want to work towards that. They want to take us backwards. So I argue against Ryan Walters and against Bibles in classrooms, because that's not a place for religion. The place for religion is a church or a synagogue or a mosque. The places for religion are clearly available everywhere. There are a minimum of 5 churches within walking distance of me sitting here in the middle of Southern California. I grew up in a town in Oklahoma where there were 86 churches at any given time. And the number fluctuated. It got as high as 104 in a town of about 18,000. If you want a church, you can find a church. Go to church. Commune with God. Read the Bible with your fellow Christians. That's the place for it. Not in public schools. Ryan Walters is wrong. Dangerous, corrupt, and wrong. And if you claim to be pro-life, I'm going to put that in quotes one more time, pro-life, then you've got a whole lot more to think about than just abortion. Maybe you should just start calling yourself pro-birth, because to be pro-life means to take care of those kids from the minute they draw breath to the minute they stop, and every minute in between. Protecting them from guns, protecting them from hunger, protecting them from social media, protecting them from the failures of the society to take care of us when we are sick, when we are old, or, and this is the worst part, when we're young, when your whole life is ahead of you. If you're truly pro-life, you should be pro-socialized medicine so that everyone has a chance to get the care that they need. And if you don't like all that, I don't know what to tell you. That's what it means to be truly pro-life. When it comes to abortion, those are difficult decisions to make. The hardest you could imagine. And those are the business of a woman, maybe her partner, if she wants him to be there, or her, any partner, and the physician that's helping her. That is not the government's role. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The government doesn't need to be in the waiting room. It doesn't need to be in the exam room. It doesn't need to be in an operating room. Those are places where governments are ineffective. That is a time for the experts and the people that it directly affects. All of that because Ryan Walters felt like it was necessary to put out a video yesterday talking about how the liberal media hates Donald Trump so much that will make up I just lumped myself in with the liberal media, that people will make up lies about Donald Trump. And we hate the Bible so much that we'll make up lies about the Bible. No, Ryan, it isn't just the liberal media that hates Donald Trump. It's the majority of voting America. You notice he hasn't won an election yet. He didn't win in 2016. He got the office on a technicality because of an antiquated, broken system that needs to go away. The Electoral College is trash. We're beyond that now. He got his ass kicked in 2020 and then tried to overturn that election. So yeah, Ryan, I got a beef with Donald Trump. He's not the kind of guy that should be in charge of anything. In fact, he's a criminal that belongs behind bars. And the more power you give him, the more he'll abuse it. Just like he abused it for the 4 years that he was president. And just like he's abusing all of you right now. You're in a cult. You need to be deprogrammed. And that's it for me today. I'll come back and do some more later, I'm sure. Later in the week. Have a discussion, maybe about something a little nicer, a little lighter. Maybe talk to my dog. Hi, doggy. She's mad at me right now because I'm not paying attention to her. She's actually directly under my butt. She's sitting underneath my stool. I want all of you to have awesome lives. I want you to have great days. I want you to live in a world where things are good and you can find whatever happiness and success you want. I believe in you. As long as your happiness and success doesn't come at the expense of others, I'm on board with it. You do you. You be you. And please be good humans. It's the least we can do for each other, for the future. I'll talk to you soon.